Hey, it's Jeff of 650 Cycle, and I'm here today to introduce you to a new series that I'm doing. I had this idea that I wanted to introduce people to the people that I know because I'm into motorcycling, and also people who are into motorcycling because they know me. This is going to be a multi-part series. I'm just going to sit down and chat with these people, and we're going to talk motorcycling and hang out and go from there. With that being said, the first person I have on deck is my good buddy Chuck Sikora, and we'll get into that video right now. So I joined Chuck up here at in his man cave. It's set up quite different than mine and a little bit better than mine, so he's doing a nice job out here. He's got some really super old stuff. Came from what, the 1800s?
1860s.
So it's going to be a cool spot when he gets done. A little introduction. I met Chuck in 2018 doing coach prep, getting my certification for the MSF program. He was recertifying. Just kind of connected at that point, and we've been in touch with each other ever since. We were working at the same, one of the same facilities, the training facilities, and we just I was coming up this way. I wanted to come up and see him, and it was like, hey, why don't we just do this video? So we're going to do this video today. So without giving anything away that you don't want to give away, how long have you been riding?
I got my cycle endorsement in 1973. It was a lot different then than it is now. Went to the local police station and basically told me ride all the way around the building, of which you could only see the first 30 feet. And I guess he figured if I made it all the way around, I deserved a cycle endorsement. Whereas it's a little bit different today. So
yeah. Do you have an idea of how many miles you've ridden throughout the years?
About 5 years ago, I sat down and kind of figured out how many miles I've ridden, and it's somewhere over 500,000.
It's pretty impressive. Have you been? How many states have you been through?
I think I'm lacking 4 states of getting all 50, and along with Alaska and Hawaii. Kind of hard to ride to Hawaii, but
yeah,
you know,
you got to rent a bike when you're over there.
Yeah, so basically about 44 states I've been through.
That's cool. How long have you been doing rider education, motorcycle rider education?
I took my first class for coach prep in 1986, and then I taught for about 8 years, and then family got in the way and I had to take a break, and then I got back into it again. So it's been probably about 30 years.
Something that you feel strongly about if you've done it for that long.
Yes. A lot of coaches get burned out and they don't want to do it no more, and there's a stopping point for a lot of them. That's why we have a major shortage of coaches right now, is people get burned out and just get tired of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a lot of classes last year, and I can understand that burnout. So, and I can understand, like, I have summers off, and a lot of people, they do it, it's along with their regular job, so I commend those people, because that's a lot to commit to. What's your flavor of motorcycle? What do you most like in a motorcycle?
I still like bikes that are quiet, quick, comfortable. Still today, with a little bit of prep work, a little bit of exercise, I could probably still do 800-900 mile days. Now when my wife rides with me, of course it's a lot shorter, maybe a 400 mile day.
Yeah. I know that one.
You know, my whole thing too is it doesn't make a difference what kind of motorcycle you have. You're out riding a motorcycle, you're part of the family, you enjoy motorcycling, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. I agree too. I'm of that mindset as well, and that's why we hit it off so well. We find value in education, and it's about the experience more than having to be on a certain type of motorcycle. Do you have any really cool motorcycle stories? I know you've told me a couple. Maybe we'll touch on those if you want to share those.
May of 1980, for those of you that are old enough to know what happened then, there was this little mountain in Oregon that was called Mount St. Helens. And it was a volcano, and it did erupt. And I was up in Canada, came down into Idaho, and had all the fallout and the strong winds. And in 1980, how many people had cell phones? How many people had radios on their bikes? And it's like, what in the world is this? That night it took 4 of us, because there were 4 of us traveling together, all 4 of us to anchor a tent for the night. And we had strong winds until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then it just stopped. But it was a really great evening that night sleeping, because we were sleeping on about 4 inches of volcanic ash. Nice and soft.
Yeah.
You know, done that. Been to a lot of different races around. Yes, I've been to Daytona, Sturgis, and Laconia. But there's so many other motorcycle events around, and you know, once you meet people on a motorcycle, they become friends for life. And I've got friends all over the country.
That's what this is about. You meet the advertisement in the 60s for Honda. You meet the nicest people on a Honda.
Exactly.
And to this day, some of the nicest people I know are people I've met from motorcycles.
You know, and the thing about motorcycles too is they are some of the people with some of the biggest hearts out there. Whenever you see 50, 100, 200, 300 motorcycles going down the road, every one of those people paid to be in that group. And it's a fundraiser for something. It could be Toys for Us. It could be a 8-year-old that's got cancer. It could be for a family that the husband was a police officer, a firefighter that got killed. I mean, that road. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a giant family out there, and the more you ride, the more people you meet, you find out some just awesome people are out there.
Completely agree. I wanted to speak on Chuck's character, just briefly, and I was looking for a motorcycle motor, and I found one in an area where he used to live, and I messaged him, and before he got back to me, I messaged another buddy, and he was like, yeah, it's like 8 miles from my home. So he said he'd pick it up, and then Chuck got back to me, and I was like, so you going back home anytime soon? And he says, yeah, a couple weeks. And so we arranged things, and he went to my other buddy's house, who he'd never met, picked up this motorcycle motor, dropped it off at my house on his way back, unloaded it by himself, and you know, that's just the kind of guy that Chuck is. So that is something that, you know, you talk about meeting the nicest people, and the people that would do anything for you and are willing to help out in any way they can. And that's been my experience with motorcycle people and the people I've met, and that's kind of what I wanted to highlight here, was that. And Chuck is my first victim of this series, so just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and you know, if Jeff calls me up and says, hey, I need some help with something, you know what, as soon as I can, you know, I'm going to be there to help him out. He's got, you know, we were teaching one weekend, and Jeff came out to some of the students and says, if I talk to you like a second grader, it's because I teach second grade. Well, some of them needed it, but you know, You know, and that's the type of guy Jeff is too. Is he's fairly low key, but he gets his point across, and you know, he tries to make everybody comfortable, especially when we're teaching together. So.
All right, well, that's all I got for today. I hope that you like the video, and I hope that you come back and join me for the rest that are in this series. I don't know how many I'm going to do. I've got a few people in mind. I haven't really contacted any of them, so make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And our last thing, ride safe.